Good morning. My name is Alice Wemaere. I'm working with the EPA. I am managing the EPA Research Programme, and today I will just give you a brief presentation on the EPA Research 2030. So to put it in the background, I will explain the EPA funding environmental research, which has been the case since 1994, what we are currently envisaging for the next research program, which is in fact a 10-year framework for research programming, the consultation which has taken place to bring us to this day, and where else and where next you can then provide feedback and input to the consultation and finalization of the framework. And then I'll introduce you to the breakout session, which is really the key point of today's workshop. So in terms of context, the aim of today is really about linking knowledge with action. It's all about knowledge, evidence, and action. And that quote from the European Environment Agency in 2019's report is very relevant about achieving sustainability transition. Robust evidence-based policy is more effective and efficient in delivering meaningful outcome, and the evidence to support policy must be both timely, accessible, and actionable. And this is what EPA Research 2030 will try to achieve. So as I mentioned, the EPA has been funding environmental research for a long time now, since 1994. The EPA Research Programme is part of the key activities of the Environmental Protection Agency. As part of the EPA strategy, which is a strategic plan 2016 and 2020, which will soon be updated with the new plan in 2021, our activities really fall under the action of the Agency of Knowledge and Advocacy. The EPA Research Programme is a Government of Ireland initiative, which is funded by the Department of Environment, Climate and Communication. And the various programs that you can see here on that slide have been building on from the learning and success from the previous program, from the learning and recommendation from the various interim reviews which has taken place. So nowadays, we're currently here on the EPA Research 2014 to 2020. So obviously, EPA Research is not the only funder of environmental research in Ireland. We really live within an ecosystem of funding and funders research. Within the national ecosystem, there is the Innovation 2020 strategy, which is a national research strategy for Ireland, and will be published soon is its successor, which will run from 2021 onward. Obviously, at European and global level, we also must take that into consideration, and you probably are all aware of the upcoming Commission Research and Innovation Programme from 21 to 27, which is called Horizon Europe. We also take into consideration the agendas and the activities of other networks, such as the joint programming initiatives. In 2019, the EPA commissioned an independent review, which was carried out by Indecon's consultant. The report is available on our website, and they came out with 6 main recommendations, which are definitely informing how we're developing EPA Research 2030. The first one was to consider and develop funding mechanism to inform short-term policy decision, to keep funding and putting resources into promotion and dissemination of research finding, to refine the planning and the monitoring for the next program, which is really about devising indicators to measure impact, to continue refining the administration of the program, to consider collaborating with enterprise, to consider funding larger scale projects, and to continue and build on a current engagement with EU funding program. So what is EPA Research 2030? EPA Research 2030 is a 10-year framework for EPA Research Programming 21-2030. You probably all have received that document by now. It's only a 4-page long document. So yes, there is not much details. It is a high-level roadmap to inform the EPA's activities in funding research. It is not meant to be a national environmental research strategy. It is focused on achieving environmental objectives, informing policy, and bringing together researcher and research user. And very important, it is designed to be agile, responsive, and flexible. It is still a draft, and it is aimed to be launched at the end of Q1 in 2021. So why 10 years, 21 to 2030? So it has been, I guess, informed by the timelines of the European Green Deal, which was published in December 2019, by the Agenda 2030 and the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, and by the forthcoming 8th Environment Action Programme to 2030, which will guide European environmental policy until 2030. So EPA Research 2030 is there to deliver impactful research. in 2030, if I'm still there and I'm still managing the program, what I want to be able to see when I come back and look back at the last 10 years is to have managed a research program which has delivered impactful research, readily usable and used by our end users. I've delivered timely evidence to support policy and decision making. So it is really all about putting science and innovation at the center of environmental protection in Ireland through the development and proactive transfer of knowledge. So how are we going to do that? If you're familiar with the previous program, under Strive, we had 10 research teams. Under the current program, we have 3 research pillars. We are currently moving to a less siloed approach and looking at an integrated approach. So we have a thematic structure comprising 4 interconnected hubs, bringing an integrated and cross-sectoral approach. These hubs are addressing climate change evidence needs, facilitating a green and circular economy, delivering a healthy environment, and protecting and restoring our natural environment. EPA Research 2030 will be targeted to respond to the needs of our key end users. As I mentioned, we are a small funders amongst a lot of other funders in Ireland funding environmental research. We have limited resources, therefore, to ensure that we do achieve and deliver impactful research, we must target our approach. So this targeting of the approach will be reflected in the scope. The scope of EPA-funded research will be informed by its relevance to policy and its alignment to the Environmental Protection Agency's activities. In addition, it will be key that the outputs and the findings of the research are targeted to respond to the key needs of our end user, being those working in environmental policy making and implementation. I mentioned before, EPA Research 2030 must be agile, responsive, and flexible. This is a 10-year high-level strategy. Things are changing. We don't live in a bubble, and the world is changing. Therefore, it will be supported by annual action plan, which will provide an overview on the proposed activity of the EPA research program, key performance indicators, and details of available funding on an annual basis. Every second year, we will publish communication plan, which will detail our ambition for knowledge transfer activities, as well as communication and dissemination actions. And then, as we are discussing today, there will be 3 yearly key research priority papers, which will be prepared following an extensive consultation. These papers will be used to inform our annual process of consultation and topic prioritization in preparation for our annual research call. That will be used, for example, this paper we are discussing today for a call in 2021, a call in 2022, and the themes for 2023. On a 3-yearly basis, because we have to make sure we are still on target and we are still well aligned to achieve our impacts and objectives, we will carry out regular interim review and adjust our funding mechanism, our funding topics and themes where required. We have a tailored and adaptable suite of awards. If you have read the thematic papers that are here for discussion today, you will see that on appendix, there was a table included as a guide, and guide is a big word, about a currently suite of funding awards. This will change and this may change. Some of them will be piloted for the first time in 2021. These are the short-term evidence-based studies, which are there to deliver targeted and impactful research outcome to inform immediate policy decision. And then there will be still the longer term research, which has the potential for significant scientific impact and longer term policy decision. This later is what we are discussing today as part of the thematic paper. Again, this suite of awards will be tailored and we might pilot other type of awards. There will be a big focus on knowledge transfer. It will be all about ensuring that the research finding and recommendation and outputs are transferred, translated in a usable and timely format for the uptake by the end users. In terms of consultation, in 2019, we started with the publication of the INDECON interim review of the research program with the 6 main recommendations, which has informed all the work we've done to date. A discussion document was then prepared to identify the direction of the new EPA research program. This was put out for your feedback via an online survey in January. We received 295 responses during that survey. We then carried out a very detailed consultation process, both internal and with policy actors and the member of a research coordination groups. Up to 18 government departments and state body and agencies provided a lot of valuable feedback. Today, we're here for our thematic subs workshops to discuss the priorities for 21 and 23. And next month, in November and December, we will open the framework for public consultation for a period of 6 weeks. I therefore really invite you to provide any feedback or further input that you wish on the document. So this brings me now to really I will call it the meat of the workshop today. This is where you all get to work. This is a breakout session. You've heard a lot of very good presentations about the policy, about the environmental challenges, environmental status in Ireland, about key achievements in research to date. And today we really want you to get your view, your feedback on the 21-23 key research priorities. So if you remember that graph, this is that first document there, 3-yearly document, which will then inform the prioritization of the topic for the research call in 21, 22, and the teams for 23. So how will this be done? We have 4 thematic hubs, so this is not difficult. We will go for 4 breakout sessions, and my colleagues are very kindly agreed to help in moderating and facilitating this session. These are Dr. Frank McGovern, Dr. Ian Marnan, and Dr. Shane Colgan from the Environmental Protection Agency, and Cleona O'Brien from National Parks and Wildlife. So thank you very much for your help in advance. So what will you be doing? You'll be discussing research priorities, not research topics. Please do not drill down to the detail at this stage. We have to remain within the scope of EPA Research 2030. Remember, we want to be a targeted research program, and this must inform mid to long-term policy needs. Research projects which are included in our call in 21, 22 are unlikely to be completed before 25 or 26. So please, this must be kept in mind. So the question that will be asked are, what are your views regarding the following 3 questions? What should be considered as our key research priorities for the period 2021 to 2023? How can research inform policy goals? Is there anything that would improve the draft working paper? So I thank you very much for your attention. I hope you managed to understand despite my French accent, but I'll really look forward to the discussion following the break. So thank you very much.